Welcome to the Kaur Show. It's episode 33. So, what a milestone again. We are completing our 33rd episode on the 14th of February. And it's a very special day. I think a very special day for many of the people around the world. And it's a normal day for many people as well. But we'll talk to yourself, our audience, and my co host, Penji Ranjit Kaur, and our special guest today to find out more about this special day. Penji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too. I've had so many messages saying Happy Valentine's. I've woken up early to say this message to you, and these are just my female friends, and I'm like, oh, okay. But really, where are my chocolates, Hannah?
I know sometimes it appears to be a very controversial topic as well when we talk in Sikhi context. I think that's what we are here today to find out whether it's a controversial topic or is it okay to talk. It's all about love. And when we say talk about Sikhi is all about love. What do you think, Penji? When Valentine's Day comes, what is the first thought that comes in your mind?
Well, it was all about falling in love, Hannah. And we talk about falling in love with Guru Sahib. So we talk about this quite a bit in our house. But it'd be interesting to find out what it actually means, Hannah. And those who do celebrate Valentine's, from a Sikhi perspective, how is that going? So it'd be really good to hear from Baljit Singh from Basics of Sikhi, which I'm really excited that he's come to join us. And we'll be talking about falling in love with him. So what's his perspective of this? And I think it's going to be very interesting. So if we can welcome him to the show and talk about Valentine's.
Sure. Yeah. Here we bring.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh ji.
How are you, Baji?
Kirpa. Very good, thank you, Penji.
Thank you for coming onto the show. It's early, I know, but we really want to talk about this topic. And we want to know how you are and how your day is going and how your week's been going with this topic, because you've got to be prepared for another topic later as well.
Yeah. I'm doing well, Penji, thank you, first of all, with the grace of the Guru. And this topic, for some people, it may be something that's not spoke about very often. Maybe they save it for a special day that comes up in the year, be it Valentine's Day. But myself, I try and express and talk about love very often. And very often throughout my posts on social media, be even within conversation. For me, it's a word that comes up very often. And I do find that people tend to shy away from it at times, but not me.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. If you can tell us a bit about yourself, about your background and then how you got into basics as well, Basics of Sikhi.
Yes. So I grew up in a very Punjabi orientated cultural family, but not really having any kind of connection to Sikhi as such, other than just the odd visit to the Gurudwara Sahib. So kind of coming from a very different lifestyle of living a very kind of worldly lifestyle, and find myself being kind of caught up in getting mixed up with intoxication and many other things in life. And then I was about 16 years old, and that was back in 97. So when I was originally kind of introduced to Sikhi through some beautiful gurmukhs and got to do Sangat, and my eyes kind of opened that there's another nasha other than drugs and alcohol, the ras, the nasha of Naam, and actually connecting to Gurbani in itself. I didn't realize how much of a kind of how that can intoxicate you. So how I came across Basics of Sikhi was that within that time coming when I got to, so it was about 2012. So I had kind of, I'd use the word fallen in love with Gurbani and created this connection with Gurbani. And I always often think of these words by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji talk about, they say, Re man, aisi har seo preet kar, jaisi machli neer. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in their Shabad in Siri Rag, in a rag called Siri Rag, they describe and they say out to the world, they say, look, if you want to kind of experience love, it says, then look out to that fish and look at how that fish is just not even besotted, but the life of a fish is that water. And this is, let love become that way for you, for that creator. And that Pangati always resonated with me, because I got to a point in my life when I got married, and I think it was about 2008, when I saw myself kind of having that experience of falling for Gurbani, for the Guru's words, just like that fish, where that fish couldn't kind of live without that water, and the life of that fish was that water. So as Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that Reman aisi harsyo preet kar jaisi machli neer, and then this is that as that fish goes deeper into that ocean, they say that the ananda, the bliss that fish experiences continues to increase. So this is jo adkyo to sukh kano, this is ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਮੱਛੀ ਡੂੰਗੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਵੇਂ ਉਵੇਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਸ ਮੱਛੀ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਨੰਦ ਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਵਧੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ. And from kind of experiencing a life of, I had a very well established business and got to marry the girl I wanted to marry. So everything, if you look at it on a worldly material level, not just material, but relationships as well, everything had kind of fallen into place, but it still felt that there was something missing. Having what the world tells you is what is happiness. And then you reach that place and you think, well, I kind of haven't found that. So even though I had been introduced into Sikhi, and by that time it had been 10 years, but there was still felt like something missing until I formed that relationship with the Gurbani after doing Ardas to Guru Granth Sahib Ji and saying to Guru Granth Sahib Ji that if you can take some pity on me and start to give me somewhat understanding of what Gurbani is saying, the Guru's word is saying. And I started at that time my journey through a website called sirigranth.org to try and understand what Japji is saying, Japji Sahib Bani by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And it was the first time in my life where it actually felt like Jo Adhikod, like this is that one thing that you go deeper into, the Sukakano, and that happiness that the world was describing, but this true happiness seems to be getting deeper and deeper. And that was that relationship. And to be honest, this wasn't even on my mind to talk about this, but when you asked that question, where did the journey start from with Basics of Sikhi? But like, I thought like we've titled it Falling in Love, but that's one way I can kind of relate to that. Title it in itself is Falling in Love, is with that initial falling in love with Gurbani. I still haven't got to Basics of Sikhi. Benji, did you want to say anything at this point, or do you want me to just carry on?
No, I think you can finish that off.
Okay. And so from the back of that, I started doing presentations on Japji Sahib at home. And it started off with like two of my mama's kids coming to learn Santya Japji Sahib. And then I'd do a few translations. But with the Guru's Kirpa, it grew so much that it became like a weekly kind of sangat that everybody would look forward to on a Friday night. So we'd have kirtan for hours, and I'd do a presentation on Japji Sahib, share a Sakhi, and that's kind of how I started originally doing prachar from home. And then I got to meet a few Gurusikhs. I got to meet Gurusai called Bhai Baljit Singh, which from there I started to then travel all over England and went to Europe as well. We did Sikhi camps. And he would do Kirtan, Bhai Baljit Singh would, and he'd do Vichar. Within whilst he'd do Vichar, I was kind of very famous for telling Sakhiyan. And then he'll always ask me to share a Sakhi. And where Guru Sahib, again, they say that Babaniya, Kahaniya, Put, Suput, Karen, that like when we share the stories of our Gurus, the history is so rich. Guru Sahib Ji say to us that Babaniya, that Babbe diyan kahaniyan, when we tell the stories of our forefathers, meaning our Gurus, they're saying Babaniyan, kahaniyan, Put, it's got the ability to take normal children, Put, right? And I always translate this as Soput. Soput it actually means Sresht. But I always translate the Sassa to super, to say that, that when we hear the stories of our gurus, it's got the ability to turn normal children, and we're children as well. Ek pita, ek iske hum barak. The entire humanity are the children of God. So it's got the ability to listen to the guru stories and turn us into these super children. So from that, I was traveling, and I had gone to do Katha, a Smagam in Aberdeen, which is like 400 miles from us. I'm in Birmingham, and it was live on Sikh channel. And that was the first time when then Jagraj Singh saw in 2012 in August myself doing Katha, and he sent a message out straight away on social medias asking, who's this Singh doing Katha? I was doing Katha about by Mati Das, and again about his love for Guru Sahib, that Karvat Pala na Karvat Teri Lag Gale Sun Bindti Meri, that how that love that Bhai Mati Das ji had for Guru Tegh Bahadur ji, and the only request they had at that time when they were going to become Shaheed was that as long as I'm facing my Guru, I've got everything. And as I was sharing that, Saki Jagraj Singh put a message out, and we got to speak that day. And that's from that very moment, from speaking from the first time, that journey started, and I came on full time as a pracharak with Basics of Sikhi then in 2012 December, and here we are today.
That's a great introduction, and I think that's a great connection you built up. I think not you built up, but I think the God Vaheguru, that built up that connection and brought you to this journey of Basics of Sikhi, and now you're connecting with so many, divine souls and doing all this stuff. So this is awesome. A couple of years back, I was speaking to Bhai Harman Singh as well, and he had a similar story as well, where he left his career profession, and finally he's doing this. So this is awesome. So Bhai Sahib, coming back to our topic, falling in love, you have already given a great introduction. If we look in this worldly context, and we know that Facebook, social media has been flooding up with this Happy Valentine's Day. And mostly when we talk about Valentine's Day, I think in the worldly context, people see it in the eyes of, Romeo and Juliet, exchanging flowers, balloons, and so many gifts, etc. And also, some people, they do exchange these messages with their parents, loving. How do you see this worldly love? Let's talk about the worldly love first, and then we will come to the context in Sikhi too.
When we talk about worldly love, Banji, what we're actually talking about is a certain emotion that we get in touch with inside of ourselves, right? And often in times that emotion by many people is confused with a sense of neediness, or it can be a sense of attachment that is involved in that emotion. But at times people do actually touch that true emotion inside of love. So, when we talk about this worldly love, we've got to be careful that we're careful with the terminologies that we are using, and we're not actually confusing it with it being where on one side we've got attachment, on the other side we've got love. So it's important for us to understand. So for example, let's take a relationship between a husband and wife. When we've got that relationship, and when we say to them that where we feel that love towards them, there's a few things here. What happens initially when you get to know that person, when you get to meet that person, it's different for everyone, how people kind of, how people meet, and whether it's arranged, whether it's kind of they found their own partner. But if we just take the relationship between a husband and wife, let's look at when they first meet each other. What it is, love is this pure sense of emotion that sits inside of all of us. We've all got the ability to touch that emotion inside of us, as we have with compassion. So love, let's talk about the nature of love. Love is indiscriminative in nature. So it doesn't discriminate. That love is it comes from a place of equality as well. So for example, we might see a certain something in someone that evokes that emotion of where it gets us in touch with love inside of ourselves. So for example, we might like the way somebody speaks or whatever it may be. Somebody gives us that attention and it helps us to kind of well up that love inside. But when we talk about worldly, the only issue we've got is we tend not to know how to then keep that love, keep intact with that love. Because what we end up doing is we then start relying on that person to be in touch with that emotion of love inside of us. So it's very important to understand this. So what happens is I'll just reiterate that we meet somebody, there's something about them, their personality or something that helps us to get in touch with the emotion of love inside. From that, what happens is we start becoming needy, and we then have got this expectation of needing that element of that person, that personality, that something of that person for us to get back in touch with that love inside of us. And now this is where the problems occur, because everybody has got different elements of their personality. So what happens is when that person starts to get relaxed, comfortable in a relationship, then they tend to show other sides of their personality, because people are not consistent in their life. And then what happens from that place is that when we see other sides of that person, then we get in touch with different emotions inside of us, be that jealousy, be that anger or hatred, right? So this is where the danger occurs, right? And where all of this is happening unconsciously, we're not actually realizing what's going on inside of us. So this can be quite deep to kind of comprehend, but this is kind of the gist of how things work.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that was quite deep, actually. But it's true. Expectations from social media or the community, be it anniversaries or Valentine's or birthdays, there's this whole commotion of where's the cake? Where's the balloons? Where's the cards? Where's the presents? It's like it's normal for us to do this. And it's not just Goriandi Soch, it's Apni Soch as well. So, where's the party? There is that. Or nowadays it's Zoom party, So, but yeah, I'm really glad that you went deep into this. And I think you're going to keep going deep into this because we need this, especially with Barney as well. So I've received some questions via social media to ask you. Mm-hmm. And it's quite a vague question, but it's, how do you love Guru Sahib?
One of the things I always say about this question is, like, we hear this question many of times, is there's no one answer. But one of the things that I started off with in the introduction was like when the Guru talks about Babaniya Kahaniya Putta Suputta Karen. So in that Pangti, like, first of all, to kind of fall for something, and let's talk about what it means to fall for something according to Gurbani first. Gurbani says that Aap gavaiye ta shah paiye. Aap gavaiye means when you sacrifice and you lose something within yourself. And what it is, love is present in the absence of our ego. So when we surrender and lose our ego, then what we're left with is then love. But to get to that point, if we look at what the Guru's given us, is two things. So the Guru has given us, for example, the Guru's given us Guru Mantra and Mool Mantra. The Mool Mantra is so we can get to know the nature of God. Only through when somebody gives us the wisdom to get to know God, can we then start falling for that one. So it's the same with the Guru. With Gurusai Ji, the more we get to hear about our Guru, the more we get to know our Guru, the more we start falling for that Guru, right? If that makes sense. So like there might be something about Guru Gobind Singh Ji that you come to hear of something that they did in their life. Let me give you an example, right? So we may not know something about let's take Guru Harai Ji. So there's a Sakhi that comes in Guru Harai Ji's time. It's told in a few different ways, and there's a version of it that really resonates with me that I'm going to go with. So say that Guru Harai Pacha sige, they were very rahatwati bahut sige, meaning that were very disciplined. Ke kede samay khana ya, kano behna ya, suchamta bahut rakhde sige. So Guru Harai Ji Pacha Ji kept a very high level of discipline of what time they would eat, how they would be seated when they eat, and they wouldn't kind of do things out of that time. It's very disciplined. So ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ and ਸੰਗਤ ਜਦੋਂ when they would bring prashada for them, they'd sit down and eat. So ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਕੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਗਏ ਹੋਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਕਰਨ, so when they had gone out hunting, and remember the version of hunting that Guru Harai Pachaji did was that they would actually go out and look for animals that needed care, and Guru Harai Ji Pachaji would bring those animals back to Kirtpur Sahib, and they would actually take care of those animals. ਪਰ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਉਹ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਹਰਾਈ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਛਕਦੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਸਰ, ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਘੋੜਾ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਭਜਾ ਗਏ. So whilst they were out hunting in the jungles, Guru Harai Pachaji ji starts to take their horse towards a completely different direction to the rest of the Sikh ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹੋਰ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਸੀਗੇ, and they show outside of a house of somebody called Maitabo. Othe bibi sigi, her name's Maitabo, she's sitting ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰੇ ਬੈਠੀ ਸੀਗੀ, and ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ she had been doing ਅਰਦਾਸ, ਉਹ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਦੀ ਪਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਗਰੀਬ ਆ, ਮੈਂ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਆ, ਮੇਰੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ. She's saying I'm old and nobody from my household is alive anymore, I'm left alone, I can't really travel anywhere. ਪਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ. So she felt that she had made many mistakes in her life. ਉਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਇਹ ਔਗਣ ਨੇ, ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਨਾਹ ਕੀਤੇ ਆ, ਮੈਂ ਬਖਸ਼ਾ ਲਵਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਮਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ. What she wanted, her ardas was, she said that I've done many sins in my life. I don't know if I'm going to be forgiven, but it'd be great. I've heard that Guru Harai Pachaji is such a guru that Sad Bakshind Sada Mehrabana. That Guru Sahib ji is that guru that is forever forgiving. And if I could be forgiven before I leave this world, my Tabu ji is doing this ardas. So oh jidda Sadguru ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, and Guru Sahib ji say as well in the Bani, they say that bahar na pau jal fera, ab ki baar bakhsh bande ko bahar na pau jal fera. They said, forgive me this time round so I don't have to keep coming back into the cycle of life and death. So she actually borrowed, she was very very poor, oh gareeb si, bahut gareebi vich rendi sigi. ਉਹਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੜੋਸੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ, so from her neighbors she actually borrowed some food. तो ਉਹਨੇ ਗੰਡਾ ਲਿਆ, ਘੇ ਲਿਆ, तो ਉਹਨੇ ਮਿੱਸੀ ਰੋਟੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੀ, ਮਿੱਸਾ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ. So she made this prashada, that this food, this bread that had ganda, had onions and had ghee. So she made it with so much devotion. ਉਹਨੇ ਐਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨੋਂ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ, ਤਾਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰੇ ਨਾਲੇ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, ਗੁਰੂ ਹਰਾਏ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੈਂ ਬਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਰਹੀ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਣਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਆ. She says, I'm making it for you, but I don't know how I'm going to get it to you. ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਗਰੀਬ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਸਕਾਂ, you know. ਪਰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਘੋੜਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਖੜਾ ਕਰਕੇ, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀ took the horse outside of a house. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਾਈ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭੁੱਖ ਲੱਗੀ ਆ, ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ. ਗੁਰੂ ਹਰਾਏ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ said, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I'm hungry, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ bring the food outside. ਮਾਈ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਕੌਣ ਆਇਆ? ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਅਰਦਾਸਾਂ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ, ਨਾਲੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਕੌਣ ਆਇਆ? ਮਹਾਰਾਜ said, on one side you're doing ਅਰਦਾਸ and now you're asking me who's here. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦਰਵਾਜ਼ਾ ਤਾਂ ਖੋਲ. ਤਾਂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਦੇਖੋ, ਨਾ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਹੱਥ ਧੋਤੇ, ਨਾ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਘੋੜੇ ਤੋਂ ਉਤਰੇ. Maharaj was very strict about the discipline of sitting cross-legged on the floor to eat. ਤਾਂ ਮਾਈ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਹੋਸ਼ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਈ. ਮਾਈ is like ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕੀ, ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਖਤੀ ਸੁਧ ਕੀ ਨਾ ਸੁਧ ਰਹੀ, ਬੁੱਧ ਕੀ ਨਾ ਬੁੱਧ ਰਹੀ, ਮਤ ਮੇ ਨਾ ਮਾਤੇ. ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ says she lost all consciousness. She's like, Maharaj, you really here? ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਮਾਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਤੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ. said you keep talking, bring me the ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ. ਮਾਈ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਬਰਾਜੂਗੇ, where you gonna sit? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਾਈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਬੈਠਾ ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਛਕੂੰਗਾ. And my Tabo gave Guru Sahib ji the prashada and Maharaj ji ate there. ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੇਖ ਲਿਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ maybe they get hungry whilst they're out hunting as well. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਖ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਖੇਡਣ. ਦੂਸਰੇ ਦਿਨ ਉਹ ਨਾਲ ਸਿੱਖ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਗਏ. ਐਂਡ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੱਕੀ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਆ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਛਕਣਾ ਸੀ ਹੁਣ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I'm not going to eat this now. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ but what about yesterday? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਦੀ ਖੇਡ ਸੀ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that was the game of love. So look, this is when we hear such stories that the Guru had so much love for his Sikh. Guru Sahib ji ne apne Sikkhaਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੀਗਾ ਦੇਖੋ. And when we hear these stories, the question was, how do you fall in love with your guru? And I can tell you, when I hear stories like this, mera ta man dol dol penda guru vaste. So like you automatically, you nanak Garib, you become this little meek person when you hear these stories. The guru is so great, nanak Garib happy, you start to fall. Remember the word fall, falling in love. You become meek from inside and you fall, and you're saying you're sacrificing your ego. ਆਪ ਗਵਾਈਏ ਨਾਨਕ ਗਰੀਬ ਢਹਿ ਪਿਆ ਦੁਆਰੇ ਹਰ ਮੇਲ ਲਿਓ ਵਡਿਆਈ. When you hear these stories, then you start falling in love with your guru.
This is such an inspiration and so loving story. I believe we have khajana of these kind of inspirational stories, and if I say all the gurus were lovers, I think there won't be any mistake in that. And we have so many, sakhiyan from where there's so much love for Sikhi, and Sikhi is a game of love. That's what is written in Gurbani as well. We've got a question as well, and that's from Binder Tillo, and she's asking whether can Sikhs celebrate Valentine's Day?
First of all, we've got to understand what it means to celebrate Valentine's Day. Like for me, it's an excuse, isn't it, to express and show our love in such times. Even though this should be a natural practice, that this is how we live every day, but the truth is many people are disconnected from themselves, right? And ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅਸਲੇ ਤੋਂ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜੋਤ ਆ, ਮਨ ਤੋਂ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਹੈ, ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਦੂਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ. We've become so disconnected from that. We're so caught up in social media, ਕੋਈ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਇਆ, ਕੋਈ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਇਆ, right? And ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, if we have got these days, right, ke Mother's Day ho gaya, Father's Day ho gaya, jo siblings day la lo, you make whatever day you want, right? So Valentine's Day ho gaya. In a day, in an age of being so disconnected from our emotions and being so caught up in trying to please the world or whatever and chase the likes, I think there's no harm in having days dedicated to such positive emotions. When pyar kinna vad muli, it's so priceless love is. Guru Sahib ji says to vin gun kite bhagat na hoye. This says that we can't have devotion without having these qualities inside of us, right? So I think that love isn't something that you can have towards one direction, right? We might learn to love through the guru, but the truth is we've got to embody love. We've got to become the embodiment of love, and then that love will not discriminate and it will radiate to all then equally, right? ਇਹਦਾ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੱਲਾ, ਆਪਾਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਨਾ ਡਰ ਜੰਨੇ ਆ, ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਆ, ਆਪਾਂ ਕੱਲੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਹੀਂ. ਦੇਖੋ, why am I saying no? We should not be afraid to generally speak about love. Why? When ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਯੋਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ, the yogis asked ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਥ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ what path do you belong to? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਇੱਕ ਪੰਥ ਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਯੋਗੀਆਂ ਦਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਆਈ ਪੰਥੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ one of our paths in the yogic system is a group called the I Panthi, right? And they said that's one of the highest groups. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਪੰਥ ਆ? ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਆਈ ਪੰਥੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਈ ਪੰਥੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I'm on the path of ਆਈ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋਤ ਆਈ ਟਿਕੀ, that means all of creation. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਈ ਪੰਥੀ ਸਗਲ ਜਮਾਤੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ all the jamaat, all of human beings, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ are from my class. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I'm on the path of humanity. ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀ ਸਿੱਖੀਏ, ਪਰ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਆ ਨਾ, ਪਿਆਰ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਮਨੁੱਖਤਾਈ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ. We might be able to learn that devotion and love through the guru, but we've got to then spread that love to all of humanity, not just humanity, but then all of creation as well. Benji, ਸਵਾਲ ਸੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ.
No, thank you so much. I'm really inspired by your talk today. Getting to know your Guru Sahib, and in the indirect way you've said, but like learning Gurbani and the translations and Sakis and stories, they really do teach a lot, especially children. And I love your Saki of Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji's. It's so beautiful. Maita Boji asking for forgiveness, the game of love, prem. It's beautiful. I wanted to ask you, how is topic of love discussed in families? Like, what would you suggest, especially with children? How would you describe this to children? Is it only through Sakis, or is it any other way?
No, Benji, like there's a much more powerful way than sharing Sakis with the children for them to experience what love is. And the way that can be done, the truth is, the only true way is for those children to experience that love from us. ठीक है ना? देखो, एक अग्नि आ, है ना? ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਗਨੀ ਆ ਨਾ, ਅਗਨੀ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸੇਕ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। ਇੱਕ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਈ ਜਾਵੇ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਦੀ ਸੇਕ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ। Somebody, so for example, the nature of fire is the heat that it radiates, right? And there's one thing I can try and explain to people, ਮੈਂ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਸਮਝਾਈ ਜਾਵਾਂ, ਅੱਗ ਏਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਅੱਗ ਸੇਕ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਆ, right? I can say that fire is like this, the nature of fire is it gives off heat, but you've never experienced that heat, right? So then, yes, there will be an element of drive inside of you to maybe go and experience that heat, but the best way is for somebody to experience the heat directly. So if you become that heat, so if you become that love, and then the children experience that love from you, right? ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਖੀ ਸੁਣਾਤੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ, ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰੀ, ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਮਹਿਤਾਬੋ ਵਾਲੀ, ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ 40 ਮੁਕਤਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੁਣਾਤੀ, ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਖੀ ਸੁਣਾਤੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ 'ਚ ਪਾਣੀ ਵੀ ਲਿਆਤਾ, ਠੀਕ ਆ। ਤਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਖੀ ਸੁਣਾ ਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ, ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਰੁੱਖਾ ਬੋਲਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਓ, ਗਾਲਾਂ ਕੱਢਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਓ, ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਿਆ ਪਿਆ, ਈਰਖਾ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਿਆ ਪਿਆ, that's what you're truly radiating, right? And then that's what then the child is then absorbing, right? Not observing. Deeper than observing is absorbing, right? Karke jehda bachcha hai na 7 saal di umar de tak, right? This is some physics for you. 7 saal di umar de tak jehda bachcha hai, they learn more through not observing but actually absorbing. So whatever your inner energy is, ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਪਿਆਰ ਆ, ਉਹ ਬੱਚਾ, ਉਹ ਪਿਆਰ ਉਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਕਿਉਂ? ਕਰਕੇ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਨੇ ਐਵੇਂ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਆ ਕਿ 7 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਪਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਆ, ਉਹਦੀ ਜੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਐਨਰਜੀ ਆ, ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਆ, it's giving them a survival tool for this world, right? So ਇਹ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਇਹ। ਸੋ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਿਆਰੀ ਪਿਆਰੀ ਸਾਖੀ ਸੁਣਾ ਦੀਆਂ, ਹਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਚਰਾਂਗ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, there's a little seed that is grown from that, ਪਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਉਦਾਸੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਹੋਵੇ, you're actually giving that to your child as well. ਸੋ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਸਕੀਨ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ, ਮਸਕੀਨ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਸਕੀਨ ਜੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਇਸ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਸੰਸਾਰ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਬਦਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਸੰਸਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੈਰ ਵਿਰੋਧ ਬਹੁਤ ਆ। ਮਸਕੀਨ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਬਦਲ ਲਿਆ ਨਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਆ, ਸਮਝ ਲਓ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਦਾ ਬਦਲ ਗਿਆ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਦਲ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਗਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਸਕੂਗਾ, ਫਿਰ ਹੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰ ਸਕੋਗੇ। ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਇਹ ਵਾਰ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਹ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ, ਆਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ, ਪਰ ਆਪਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਗੁੱਸਾ, ਇੰਨੀ ਈਰਖਾ, ਹਨਾ, ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਬਾਹਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ, that's what we're radiating out, ਹਨਾ। So it's about finding that love inside of ourselves first, and that's what the child will then absorb. That's the most powerful way.
That was a beautiful explanation. I'm really inspired by that. And And you rightly said, कि sometime ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਰ ਤੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਕੁਛ ਹੋਰ. And I want to just continue this particular question again, not just only in the context of kids, but even anyone of any age as well. Sometimes we see that people, get disconnected from Sikhi because maybe they don't receive that love, those virtues of love in the Sangat itself as well. They see a lot of, rahat and everything there, but love, pyar nahi milda.
Hmm.
Maybe we can, if you can throw some light on that, and they get disconnected. We have seen some youth getting disconnected, even this in the Western countries as well.
I was talking to ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡਾ ਬਾਅਦ ਚ Zoom session ਆ ਭਾਈ ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ. I was talking to him and he described it so beautifully for me that we have become almost afraid of telling another fellow Gurusik, right, that we love them. We sometimes feel so afraid or ashamed to express our emotions with someone that it's gonna seem. Mainu bahut jane ne kiha ya. So many people have said to me, oh, Baljit Singh's airy fairy. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਬਸ fairy tales ਸੁਣਾਉਂਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਆ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ. is very airy fairy ਜਿਹਾ ਆ ਬੰਦਾ ਹਨਾ. And why do people say such things? Because look at the culture. ਜੇ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦਈਏ ਨਾ that we dislike someone, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਸੀ ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ, ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰੀ ਲੱਗੀ ਹਨਾ. ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਜੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ if we say to somebody that we dislike them or we hate someone, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ it's more accepted in society. Even amongst Sangat, you put something up on Facebook that I dislike someone, right? People accept that a lot more. But if you put up a post saying I love such and such Gurusik, people think, oh, it's a bit weird. Right? And I think we've got to break away from this. To see gal karke puchiya ke we see people, they've got the wrath, they've got the discipline, but we don't always see that love, we don't always see that pyar. Guru Sahib ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਨਾਹੀ ਐਤ ਜਗ ਤਾ ਕਾਹਿਤ ਗਾਰਬ ਹੰਡੀਏ. ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਾਹਿਤ ਗਾਰਬ ਹੰਡੀਏ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ why have you got so much pride? ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਨੇ ਫਲਾਨਾ ਕੀ ਸੋਚੇਗਾ, ਫਲਾਨਾ ਕੀ ਕਹੂਗਾ. I'm gonna seem weak ਹਨਾ, ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਲੱਗੂਗਾ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕੀਤੀ. ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, we've always got to remember back to those times that ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੀ, ਇੰਨਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਸੀਗਾ. ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਤਾਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਚਮਕੌਰ ਦੀ ਗੜੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਾਤ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ, ਜੰਗ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਹੈ, ਇੰਨਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਰਮ ਵਾਲੀ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗੀ. there was nothing about having shame or ਲੋਕ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ, what will somebody say if I expressed myself in this way. ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੈਰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਚਰਨ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਚੁੰਮ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ. they're kissing their feet, right? Never mind expressing, like using the word love. Today sometimes if we say the word love, people freak out. And I will say that something beautiful, Amandeep Singh will actually sometimes, he will just phone me randomly and just saying, I just want to let you know that tenu koi pyar karan wala ithe baitha hai, that I love you, Singh, hana. And ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸ਼ਰਮੀਏ ਨਾ, ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੈਰ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸ਼ਰਮੀਏ. But if we're gonna express any emotion of hatred towards somebody, that is something that we should be feeling ashamed of. In ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪਾਠ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੱਵਾ ਵੈਰ ਨਾ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਾਹੂ, ਘਟ ਘਟ ਅੰਤਰ ਜੋਤ ਸਮਾਹੂ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ don't hold hatred for anyone, because within each and every one, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ there is that light of God. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਸਾਖੀ ਯਾਦ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ, ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਾਬਲ ਤੋਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਆਈ ਆ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ. ਇੰਨੀ ਦੂਰੋਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਕਾਬਲ ਤੋਂ, ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਦੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਤੁਰ ਪੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਤੋਂ ਮਾਤਾ ਗੰਗਾ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ. ਕਿਉਂ ਤੁਰ ਪੰਦੇ ਨੇ? ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਵੀ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੱਚੇ ਵੀ ਨੇ. ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਭੇਸ ਬਦਲ ਕੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਹਾਂ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭੇਸ ਬਦਲ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ dressed very very simple. And when there was Sangat traveling from Kabul to come to Amritsar, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pachi said to Mata Ganga, let's go and serve them en route, but we won't go and show them that I am the Guru and we'll actually just go there as a sec because they hadn't seen Guru Arjan Dev Ji before. But देखो ਆਪਾਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, we talk about love, and when they reached, ਜਦੋਂ ਆਇਆ ਪਿਪਲੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਦੇ ਲਾਗੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਲੰਗਰ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ। ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਲੰਗਰ ਛਕਾ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਨੇ ਮੁੱਠੀ ਚਾਪੀ ਕੀਤੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਾਲਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ। ਦੈਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਮਸਾਜ ਦ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖਸ, ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਸਾਜ ਕਰਕੇ, ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਜਦੋਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੋਰ ਸਾਰੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੋੜਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਰਾਖੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਹਨਾ। ਸੋ ਲਾਈਕ when we learn these things of love, and ਦੇਖੋ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ I try and use these terminologies all the time. ਮੈਂ ਹਰ ਵੇਲੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿ like I won't always say that I won't always say to the kids that I love you. I'll just say to the kids love, just the word love, and they'll question me. They say, Dad, what do you mean? Why are you just saying love? Because I said, put the dekho pyar eho jaya. I'm saying just the word love because I'm saying I'm feeling an overwhelming feeling of love inside, right? I can't just say I love you now. On eda matlab, if I'm feeling love, if you're around me, you can experience that love, right? Because it doesn't matter who's going to come to me. And I'll say to them, but can you feel love? Right? And they'll say, yes, Daddy, I can feel love as well. And I'll teach them that, you know, your love, it doesn't discriminate. Your love isn't just for me, but your love is for your love. Once you've found love inside, that love will be equally radiated to all. No? So I every day in some form of way with my children will bring up love in some form of way. No?
That's awesome. That's actually going to be with my next question. Yeah, and you're right about culture and society. They have definitely had an impact and still will, I think, forever have an impact. It's just how we overcome that impact. But even I see my kids who have relationships with our other family members who are Gore as well. And Gore, they'll see that the Gore will do the words I love you, and it's not once a day, it's so many times during the day, and then they do the whole kiss on the lips, and then those kids come back to me and say to me, Mum, why don't you ever say I love you? And it's like, oh, but it's not that I don't love you, it's just a different expression, Hannah. But and then now they want this all the time as well, I love you, Hannah. And I find it strange because I was not raised with those words, love. And it was because we were explained it as a sign of attachment. The more attached you are, the harder to let go. And that was always in my mind. It was no Sikhi perspective on that. It was just, Sare ne ek din jana hai. Everyone's going to die one day. Why be attached? Just accept what is what. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on how, you know how you said that you don't say love, it's more, can you feel love? But when we've not had to say I love you, but when they want to hear I love you, those words, yeah, you're probably right that we should probably explain what love is and do you feel love. But you know,
the question, Benji, do you feel love for your children?
I feel love for the children. I'm always talking about love and seva. I love you. No, but it's with a lot of things like, oh, cookies banaye. Mom, do you love this? Do you love me? And it's like, I love the cookies, yes. I love that you made the cookies, Hanji. Not the mess. Yeah.
There's been this fear that has been put inside of us. And what the problem is, we ourselves have not been able to understand what attachment is and what love is. ਹੁਣ ਦੇਖੋ in ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਮੋਹ ਦੀ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਪੰਜ ਚੋਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਗਿਆ, ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁੱਧ ਆ. Love is something so pure. When look, ਦੇਖੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਪਿਆਰ ਬਾਰੇ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ? Look, I explained earlier that on one level, love is an emotion, right? That we feel at certain periods of throughout our life for people. On a deeper level, Guru Gobind Singh Ji even describes Akal Purkh to be love, right? And you read this every day in City Job Sahib, but we're not necessarily aware that we're actually saying this. Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, Jatar tatar disa visa hoye phailyo anurag. Jatar tatar means everywhere, right? Jatar tatar disa visa, in all directions. Jatar tatar disa visa hoye phailyo. There's something that is phailyo. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਫਿਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਆ, something that is spread everywhere. What is that? Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, hoye phailyo anurag. Anurag means love. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that there's love that is spread everywhere. Meaning that one of the natures of Waheguru, of God, is love. And what that means is that God does not discriminate. God takes all equal. That's one of the natures of love. So when we touch that element of love inside of us, when we connect to God, we connect to love, right? And then we spread that love. Okay, so what I will say is, jithe expressing that love to our children, understand what attachment means. Attachment means that I can't live without you. That if something happens to you, that will determine my state of mind. That's attachment. Love means it's nothing to do with you. Love is something I have found inside of myself, and I have plenty of it to share with you all, right? So that's what love is. If you are experiencing that emotion of love, right, and you're giving it to your children, there's no harm in saying, but yes, I feel loving towards you, right? And if you are, but don't kind of, don't make it empty as well. And don't let it just become words. But if you're in that motion without fear, yeah, but be real to yourself. If you have, just because you say to somebody that I love you, it is, you still might mean that you've got an element of attachment towards them, right? And let's not hide from our own self if we may have got attachment to our children as well, right? That's a journey that we are on.
I think attachment's a whole different topic altogether.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Love,
attachment.
Love is pure, right? When you experience love inside of you, you will laugh in love. You will talk in love. Rang hasse. That's what that means. Asadivar rang hasse. You now laugh in love, right? Everything you do becomes loving. Whatever you do, you pick up this water, you pick it up in love. You look at this water, you look at it with love. Once you've got love inside of you, fir pani hove, jo marji hove, bacha hove, pyar hun tade andar hai. That's where we want to get to. And then you can change the way this water tastes just the way you look at it. You've got that ability. You look at this water, you hold it with love, and it will react differently in your body. You look at this water with hatred and anger, and it will react differently in your body. That's the power of love.
Wow.
Emotion.
Yeah, no, you just answered my next question as well. But I love this whole spread blame, spread love, the emotion of love. And yes, we don't use it much, probably because like I said, I haven't been raised using the word love, but now my kids, they want to use this word every hour if they could. But it'd be good to explain.
How old are your kids, Benji?
7, 6, and 5.
Okay, very similar, 6 and 8. So again, just drop these little gems to them, explain to them, right? Start expressing what love is. I know that love is something that you start to experience within yourself, that it's a very powerful emotion. Love is a place we all want to get to, because the love is the nature of God. That's how Guru Gobind Singh Ji described God to be from Guru Gobind Singh Ji's experience. No?
Yeah, so Guruji's, the form that is of love, but in everything. So maybe I haven't done it like that with them, but it's good to be explaining it and experiencing it with them. Yeah, this would be good to explain to them. Thank you so much for that. What would you suggest the audience should do to be connected to Guru Sahib, especially for like today? So if I was to mention on social media that today is Valentine's Day, It would be great if we could do like maybe, I don't know, some sort of bani, or what suggestions would you have? Because otherwise it will be chocolates, flowers, cards, everything else. What one thing would you suggest from a Sikhi point of view?
Look, take a bani, take a pankti, anything that connects you to that love, right? I was speaking to a Gurusai about a month ago. Just it needed that little bit more enhancement in being in touch with his emotion of love. So I shared with him, I said to him that do job of Sachi Preet Hum Tumsyo Jori, Tumsyo Jor Avr Sang Tori. That I am disconnecting my attachment to the world, but now I'm filling myself with love for the world, right? So you can say Sachi Preet Hum Tumsyo Jori, Tumsyo Jor Avr Sang Tori, right? And not just say those panktiyan, but the best way to celebrate this day is whoever is around you, express not just with your words, but with your emotions. Be loving towards whoever is around you today. For me, Sikhi is everything. If I today looked at my children with love, I'm living Sikhi, right? I can sometimes say a pankti but be so far away from love, right? So Guru Sahib ji say that Sat Gur ki Bani Sat Swaroop hai Gur Bani Baniya. We are here to embody Gurbani, right? If the pankti is going to help you to evoke that emotion, then use it, right? But the most important thing is to express and evoke that emotion inside of you. Be loving to whoever's around you today. That's how you celebrate Valentine's Day.
Awesome. That's really a great, answer, what we can say. Yes, amazing. We're getting many comments and really appreciating this discussion. People are enjoying it. So thanks to the audience who is just connected to us and enjoying the discussion. Just conscious of the time, but just have one more question before we let you go. We also usually say that love, where there is love, there is no question. And also in Sikhi as well, we talk about, it's a game of submission, submitting yourself to the Guru, and that's where we don't ask questions.
Mhm.
Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on that, submission and love in Sikhi, as well as, I think, if we talk about the Panti, Jato Prem Khilan Ka Chao, Sir Tar Tali Gali Meri Aao. So I think ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਾਰਨਾ ਹੈ. So if you can just elaborate a little bit on that.
So Pandi, you spoke there about like there's no kind of there's no questions, there's no reason, and the truth is you're right, and that's so what that means is that love is selfless. So Bhagat Freed ji se kende Frida ja lab ta ne ho kya. They said where there is desire of wanting something in return, they said kende then what love is that? Frida ja lab ta ne ho kya. Kende then they say kende ja lab ta kuda ne ho. Actually, if you're wanting something in return, then it's false love. No? So you spoke about Joto Prem Khelan Ka Chao, Sir Tar Tali Gali Mariya. Look at how amazing these words are. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's words, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying, this is what God is saying to me. If you look at the context of the Pankti, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is saying, this is what God is saying to me. God is saying, Je mere kol auna, if you want to come to me, Joto Prem, this is how you play the game of love. How? Joto Prem Khelan Ka Chao, Sir Tar. Then you've got to take away your ego, right? Your arrogance, you thinking you are better than others, looking down at others, thinking it's all about you, protecting your ego. Oh no, you've got to take that off, put it on the palm of your hand, Sir Tar, Tali, Gali, Meri Aao. Then you'll be coming into my Gali, onto the path that is going to lead to me. God is saying this to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So that's a quick gist of that Pankti.
I love that. That's so cool. Have no motive or intention, just pure love. That's, yeah, and love is not one direction, radiate to all. I've learned so much. I've taken notes as well.
If somebody does that are listening that wants a more focused, we've got a Zoom session where I'm doing a presentation, we're doing guided meditations in there, Q&A sessions. That's at 2 p.m. It's a sign up event only. So you sign up to Eventbrite, you can get the details from Basics of Sikhi and on my personal social media as well.
Yes, that's my next question. Where can people reach out to learn more? So social media is, your handle is Baljit Singh 13 Das. Is that
I
right?
didn't know that myself, but I think
Okay.
I did something like that. Yeah, it was many years
Yes,
ago.
it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's also Basics of Sikhi, which has the poster for today. Is it 2 p.m. or 3 p.m.?
It's 3 p.m. UK time.
Yeah.
And just on that note, I've set up a new YouTube channel as well called Journey of Compassion. And that YouTube channel is just focused solely on mental well-being and inspirational and motivating people towards a journey of well-being.
This has been amazing. I've learned so much today. Thank you so much, Baji. We'd like to thank Baljit today for sharing his wonderful inspirations with us all about love, which we thought not many people would want to talk about, but it seems lots of people are very interested in this. And I'm so glad that we can take away, so much from you. And I'm really happy that you've mentioned Gurbani as well. So thank you so much. And if you've got any more questions, just find him on social media, Baljit Singh 13 Das, or Sikhi to the Basics of Sikhi. Benji, have you got any more comments?
There are so many comments from the audience. I think, yes. No, it was an amazing discussion today. I really personally enjoyed it as well. So thank you.
Yes, me too. And Baji, have you got any last comments you want to make?
For me, I just want to say, don't be afraid of this word love. Don't be afraid to express and radiate love. Embrace love. This is the journey that we're all on.
I think we need to have an attachment one, and the word sorry as well. There's that one. I've learnt loads from my Gauda friends. They love this word attachment and sorry. So I think they're two different topics altogether, but we would definitely see one here again. Lots of inspiration. Thank you all for coming onto the show. We will see you again next week. If you've got any comments or a specific topic that you would like covered, please send us an email to hello@thecourseshow.com. And otherwise, you can see our previous shows on our website as well, thecourseshow.com. Thank you, everybody. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa. Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.